The weight of the sushi bag in my hand felt heavier than it should have, but maybe that was just my heart sinking. I had left work early that day, excited to surprise my girlfriend with her favorite sushi. We'd been together for 4 years, lived together for 2, and talked about marriage and kids. I thought we were solid. When I unlocked the door and stepped inside, I heard it, the unmistakable sounds coming from our bedroom. My grip on the bag tightened. A part of me wanted to turn around, pretend I never came home early, but something pushed me forward. I opened the bedroom door. There she was, my girlfriend, tangled up with a man I'd never seen before. They didn't even notice me at first. I cleared my throat, and they both jumped. Her face held no guilt, no remorse, just irritation, as if I had inconvenienced her. "Jesus, you're supposed to be at work," she snapped, like I was the one who had done something wrong. The guy scrambled to grab his clothes, muttering something about not knowing she had a boyfriend, but I barely heard him. My focus was on her. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "It was just once." "Get over it," she shot back, rolling her eyes. "You're always working late. What did you expect?" Something inside me shifted. I told the guy to leave, and he bolted, still buttoning his shirt. Once he was gone, she switched tactics. "Look, it was a mistake, okay? It didn't mean anything," she said, but there was no desperation in her voice, no real regret. I didn't respond, and she became defensive. "What? Are you just going to stand there judging me? You're not exactly Mr. Perfect yourself." "I've never cheated on you," I said quietly. Her expression changed for a moment, like she was processing the weight of what she had done. But then, instead of remorse, she smirked. "Well, maybe you should know. He's better in bed anyway." I nodded, turned around, and walked out. I grabbed my laptop, wallet, and car keys. As I headed for the door, she followed. "Where are you going? Don't be so dramatic." I didn't answer. I just walked out. That night, I crashed at my buddy's place, lying awake, staring at the ceiling. I expected pain, anger, heartbreak. Instead, I felt nothing, just a hollow emptiness. The next morning, clarity hit me like a cold wind. I knew exactly what I needed to do. First, I called work and took a personal day. Then, I called our landlord. The apartment was in my name only. She had credit issues when we moved in, so I signed the lease alone. I explained the situation, and he was sympathetic. "These things happen, son," he said. "Let me know what you want to do with the lease." Next, I called the internet and utility companies, also in my name, and arranged to have them disconnected. I went to the bank and removed her as an authorized user on my credit card. By the time I turned my phone back on, there were 17 missed calls, 36 texts, and 9 voicemails. I didn't read or listen to any of them. Instead, I texted my buddy to see if I could stay a few more days. "Already made up the couch for you," he replied. At 6 p.m., knowing she'd be at her yoga class, I returned to the apartment. In 30 minutes, I packed my essentials and left my key on the counter with a note. "Lease ends in 30 days. Utilities disconnected. Good luck." As I drove away, our cars passed each other in the parking lot. Our eyes met. Confusion turned to panic on her face. For a second, I almost stopped. Almost. The next morning, I woke up to 43 emails from her. The messages started with anger, turned to panic, and ended in pleading. She had tried to shower but found the water shut off. She had tried to watch Netflix but had no internet. She had tried to order food but couldn't, because it was my credit card she'd been using. The last email, sent at 2:37 a.m., was just, "Please call me. I'm sorry. We need to talk." I didn't respond. Days passed, and her life unraveled. The lease? I hadn't just spoken to the landlord. I had terminated it early. Our agreement had a clause allowing me to break it for a fee, which I paid. She had 30 days to either sign a new lease or get out. Her credit score and income weren't enough to qualify for the apartment on her own. Then, I found out something new. The guy she cheated with, he wasn't just some random hookup. He was her co-worker, a married co-worker, with a pregnant wife. I learned this when she showed up at my office on day 3 of my radio silence. The receptionist warned me, and I had security escort her out. But before she was gone, she made a scene, screaming about how I had ruined her life. A co-worker recorded the whole thing. When I watched it later, I caught the guy's name. A quick Facebook search confirmed it. Married, baby on the way, works at the same company as my ex. I sat on the information for a day. Then I made a decision. I found his wife on Facebook and sent her a message. No drama, just facts. I told her the date and time I caught them together, and I gave her my ex's name. She responded quickly. She had suspected something but had no proof. She asked if I had evidence. I sent screenshots, emails where my ex admitted the affair had been going on for months. Then everything exploded. My ex called me 19 times in 2 hours. When I finally picked up, she was hysterical. How could you tell his wife? Do you have any idea what you've done? I stayed calm. He's being transferred to the Austin office, she sobbed. They were going to promote me to his position, but now HR is investigating both of us. I could lose my job. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted? I didn't want any of this, I said. You made your choices. She broke down, crying about how sorry she was, how she would do anything to take it back. I can't afford this place on my own, she pleaded. My parents won't help me. I have nowhere to go. That sounds like a you problem, I said. And then I hung up. I never expected my life to unravel in an instant, but on that fateful Thursday evening, everything I thought I knew crumbled before my eyes. For 4 years, I had been in what I believed to be a solid, loving relationship. My girlfriend and I met in college, moved in together 2 years ago, and had spent countless nights discussing our future, marriage, children, the home we'd one day share. I trusted her implicitly, never questioning her loyalty. That trust shattered the moment I walked through our front door earlier than expected. It had been a good day at work. My boss, in high spirits after we secured a major client, let us leave early. Excited to surprise my girlfriend, I stopped to pick up her favorite sushi on my way home, imagining her delight. But as soon as I stepped inside, my world tilted. The unmistakable sounds of betrayal filtered from our bedroom. I stood there for a moment, the takeout bag growing heavy in my hand, my heart hammering in my chest. A part of me wanted to turn around and leave, pretend I had never come home early. But something pulled me forward. When I pushed open the bedroom door, the scene before me was both surreal and devastating. My girlfriend, tangled in sheets, a stranger beside her. They didn't even notice me at first. It wasn't until I cleared my throat that they jolted apart. What the hell is this? My voice was calm, too calm. She barely bothered to cover herself, more annoyed at being caught than ashamed. Jesus, you're supposed to be at work, she snapped, as if I had somehow wronged her. The man beside her scrambled for his clothes, mumbling something about not knowing she had a boyfriend. I barely spared him a glance. My eyes remained locked on her. How long has this been going on? I asked, my voice eerily steady. It was just once. Get over it, she said, rolling her eyes. You're always working late. What did you expect? The sheer audacity of her words stunned me. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't remorseful. And then, as if to twist a knife deeper, she smirked. He's better in bed anyway. Something inside me went cold. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply nodded, turned on my heel, and walked out. I grabbed my essentials, laptop, wallet, car keys, and made my way to the door. She followed, her tone shifting. Look, it was a mistake, okay? It didn't mean anything. I didn't reply. Are you just going to stand there judging me? You're not exactly Mr. Perfect yourself. I've never cheated on you, I said quietly. She faltered then, something in her eyes flickering. Guilt, maybe, but it didn't last. Where are you going? She demanded. Don't be so dramatic. I didn't answer. I shut the door behind me and drove to my best friend's place, ignoring the barrage of texts that followed. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the heartbreak to hit. But all I felt was emptiness. By morning, clarity had settled over me like a quiet storm. I knew exactly what needed to be done. I made the necessary calls, first to work, requesting a personal day. then to my landlord. The lease was in my name alone, thanks to her poor credit history. When I explained the situation, he was understanding. "These things happen, son," he said. "Let me know what you want to do." Next, I called the utility companies, all accounts under my name. By noon, they were scheduled for disconnection. At the bank, I removed her as an authorized user from my credit card. I spent the afternoon at a coffee shop, ignoring the flood of missed calls and unread messages from her. By evening, I returned to the apartment while she was at yoga, packed what I needed, and left my key on the counter with a note. "Lease ends in 30 days. Utilities disconnected. Good luck." As I drove away, I saw her car pulling in. Our eyes met for a fleeting second, haze filled with confusion, then panic. Almost made me stop. Almost. The next morning, I woke to 43 desperate emails. The first few were angry, the next apologetic, the last outright pleading. She had tried to shower, no water. Tried to watch Netflix, no internet. Tried to order food. Her card declined because she had been using mine. I didn't respond. Days passed, and the fallout spread like wildfire. Turns out, the guy she cheated with wasn't just some random fling. He was a married co-worker. His pregnant wife found out after I sent her the screenshots my ex had sent me, detailing how their affair had been going on for months, not just a one-time mistake. The wife confronted him, then went straight to HR. Their company had strict policies against workplace relationships, especially between a supervisor and a subordinate. Soon, both were under investigation. My ex showed up at my office, screaming about how I had ruined her life over one mistake. Security had to escort her out, but before she left, she shouted something that stuck with me. "I'm probably going to lose my job. I have to be out of the apartment in 2 weeks. Are you happy now?" I wasn't happy. I wasn't anything. Days turned into weeks. She kept trying to contact me, alternating between apologies and demands. Then came the inevitable. Her sister reached out, pleading with me to help her with rent. That's when I learned the extent of her lies. She had told her family that I had been supporting her financially for years, making it seem like she was completely dependent on me. In reality, we had split everything 50-50, except for the internet bill, which I had covered. Her sister was stunned. That's not what she told us. Eventually, the married guy was fired. His wife proceeded with a divorce, naming my ex in the filing. My ex lost her job as well. Homeless and unemployed, she had nowhere to go but her sister's place. Then, one night, she showed up at my new apartment, drunk, Mascara Street, pounding on my door. "You owe me," she cried. "After 4 years, you owe me at least a place to stay." "I don't owe you anything," I said, "especially not after what you did." It was just a few times. It didn't mean anything. I pulled out my phone and started dialing. She lunged, but I stepped back. "Go home. Sober up. Figure out your life. I'm not your solution anymore." And just like that, she deflated. "I have nowhere to go," she whispered. "Not my problem." That was the last time I saw her. Weeks passed in silence. Then, out of the blue, an email arrived. The subject line read, "Closure." It wasn't what I expected. No blame shifting. No demands. Just an apology. She admitted to lying, manipulating, taking me for granted. "I didn't just betray you when I cheated. I betrayed you every time I lied, every time I chose my immediate desires over our relationship, every time I took your stability for weakness rather than strength." I sat with that email for days before responding. "Thank you for the apology. I wish you well in your journey forward." That was the end. Now, 2 months later, life is surprisingly good. I got promoted at work. My new apartment feels like home. I've started dating again. Met someone at a friend's party, and we talked for hours. I still think about my ex sometimes, but the pain has dulled. No more anger, no more heartbreak. Just a faint ache that continues to fade. Someone once said the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. I think I'm finally getting there.